Hey, Dr. Shakib here from Irvine Spine and Wellness Center. I am here with Coach John, and we are talking about Bulgarian Split Squat. And now what we're going to talk about is the variations of the very exercise, which is essentially a good injury prevention for runners, for cyclists, for weightlifters, for people who just want to strengthen their lower extremity muscles as well as their core. And just to remind you, your core is not just your abs. Watch the other videos to know what I'm talking about. But we want to basically go over some of the different variations of the very exercise, like what would be a good start for someone who's just exploring it versus someone who's unfortunately injured themselves, so they're rehabbing, and then people who have already done it and now they want to up their game and just kind of increase the challenge, which is not bad if you know what you're doing. So watch the other videos where we discuss the things to watch out for to prevent any injuries. So what's a good start as far as positioning is concerned? And should we add weights? Should we not? How many times for beginners should they do it? Like what would be obviously doing like 15 on each side, which makes it 30 is a little too advanced.
It's a little much. Yeah, so like the previous video, I'd start on the ground, then work our way up to elevating our rear foot. When we're beginning to add load, I would start with 2 dumbbells in your hands right next to my side. So when we're going, let's let me demonstrate. Say I got my 2 imaginary dumbbells. I'm going to set up. I'm going to get my hips right. I'm going to step back to and elevate my foot. Active foot. I got my dumbbells in my hand. Then right next to my side, I'm going to squat down and then up. Just hold them there. If you start to progress this a little too much, you're going to find that your forearms and your grip is going to become the limiting factor. And what that means is you're not going to be able to complete as many reps as maybe you'd want because your grip is giving and your legs still feel fresh.
And you know, the other thing you need to watch out for before you start having issues in the forearm and your grip is the upper trap.
Yes.
If you're using your upper trap to hold this and you're going like this, or you're really stressing your neck to do the exercise, that's too much.
Yeah.
So even if you're advanced and you know, no one's really caring how much weight you're carrying, or if you're carrying weight, what matters is are you going to injure yourself or not. So for beginners, definitely no weight.
Yes, so beginners no weight, but the beginners no weight until you can do it properly. And then once you want to progress, just put 2 dumbbells in your hand. And then if we want to progress from there, I would say 2 dumbbells in your hand, just bring them up top. You bring them up top, you can either use kettlebells, and you're going to put them in the front rack position right here. What this is going to do is going to the weight is going to have a little more say on where our upper body is going. Just like the squat video we did, when it's in this front loaded position, it's going to have a tendency to pull us forward because the weights are in front of us. It's going to force our core to remain upright a little more, and it's going to force us to work harder throughout the movement.
So don't forget about hip hinging. So the tendency may be to overdo it, in which case you're using your lower back muscles. So this is not a bending at the waist, it's a hip hinging. So be watchful of that.
Yes.
And make sure you do not sacrifice your form. I
Yes.
think that's all. You know, my specialty is brain-based neurology and posture. It's all about the.
Make sure every rep looks identical. Identical.
Oh my goodness.
And so,
Go ahead.
And so, make sure every rep looks identical. We're gonna have those weights in a front rack position. If we want to progress it again, now we're going to have to start thinking about what is our goal. Are we trying to get stronger? Are we trying to build larger legs, more muscle? Are we trying to correct an imbalance or rehab an injury? This is where we start to specialize into what we're trying to use the Bulgarian Split Squat for. So if we're trying to increase our strength, let's say we're just trying to get strong legs for athletics or for whatever it may be. Say we just want to get stronger legs. If we have the requisite core strength and our form looks good and we're relatively healthy and we know what we're doing, we're in touch with our body, I would put a I would use a barbell, put our back just like a back squat, except we're doing the same thing. We're doing a Bulgarian rear foot elevated split squat with a barbell on our back. What a barbell is going to do, it's going to allow us to load the weight a little more without our arms or our front rack position being the limiting factor when we're doing the movement. So that would be one thing. Say that's if we're going for strength. If we're going for, say we want to just grow our legs, now we have a few options. We can either use a barbell on our back, we can still use the dumbbells but increase the weight of the dumbbells, and we can use a front rack position with a barbell or a kettlebell. Mainly, the sets and the reps are going to dictate whether our legs grow. And so we have a little more flexibility with the way we want to load. So now we have strength and we have muscle mass. Let's say now we want to rehab an injury or correct an imbalance. Usually if we're using the split stance position to correct an imbalance, it means we either have unstable hips, or a weak core. So if we have unstable hips, it's going to vary from person to person depending on why they have unstable hips. But let's say that our glute med, this little side chunk of butt, isn't working and keeping our hips stable. What we can do is get a dumbbell, but get one of them, maybe 10, 15 pounds. Whatever leg is on the back elevated, we're going to use that same hand to carry the dumbbell. So if we step back with our left arm, whatever leg is in front.
Yeah, I was like going to say that's going to
accentuate
it actually.
So whatever leg is in front, that is the hand that's going to use the dumbbell. And what we want to do is increase the instability, the right to left instability that we're under, which is going to force our hips and our glute med to stabilize more. Doing it for both legs is going to potentially correct this imbalance.
Gosh, I hear that and I'm thinking there is so much to do before you get there. So I hope you guys watched the video on developmental kinesiology, because technically loading, it's kind of, I get it, but I feel that is a great idea, or it will work for someone who's in top shape posturally speaking, balance wise, and they know what they're doing. I feel like, at least in the population I see in my practice, I feel that's going to be really messing other parts up. So what do you see in you're dealing with athletes.
Yeah.
So that's like, if you're not an athlete, but you're active, watch the videos on developmental kinesiology. Because with athletes, one thing I know is when I do brain-based neurology, they're so much sharper and they really get it. I think that's because of the level of activation their brain has received. So it's really, their brain is really on top of their game. So be careful with that.
Yeah, just like all the progression up to this point, make sure we're structurally sound, make sure we're doing the exercise correctly. So if we want to increase, say this dumbbell isn't having enough say and it's a little easy to stabilize our hips, we can bring it on up, either get a kettlebell or just use a dumbbell, and that's going to give us, not only is it going to make us want to, it's going to increase this lateral instability, it's going to want us to bend over too, because the weight is anterior loaded again. And so we do the same thing, bring it up, the same. For this one, I'd have the opposite arm from the leg that is up. Am I saying this right? Sorry.
No, the same side.
The same side. The
leg is up here.
Yeah.
And
So
you're trying to,
the same side. Sorry, we get kind of weird when we're going to split stance. And so that's what I would recommend if someone's trying to rehab an injury or correct an imbalance.
I think that a good safe start, if you have injured yourself and you're just about to move up to the Bulgarian Split Squat because you've done all of the other rehab maneuvers and exercises, so you're safe to up your game of rehab with the Bulgarian Split Squat. You may want to, should we talk about the, like, let's say vastus lateralis. A very common injury in the leg is outside the thigh or inside the thigh, especially with that maneuver, which we talked about and said that's, you need to watch out, make sure that it's not, your knee's not going in or out. So if you have a weakness on, let's say, the outside of your thigh, and you're doing this exercise on rehab, with rehab in mind, you may want to up your game and kind of challenge the outside a little bit by loading it a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But be careful. When it comes to rehab, you have to be very careful what you're doing. Probably the best thing to do is to make sure you do this in whatever office you go to get rehabilitated, or most importantly, if you've already been released and now you have to go back and play your game, make sure you do it with a trainer who knows what they're doing. Like, there are plenty of trainers out there. I actually did a video on the trainers because you have to be careful. A lot of times trainers behave like a cheerleader.
Yeah.
You don't want a cheerleader trainer. You want to have a trainer who knows what they're doing as far as the form is concerned, the do's and don'ts. So that's one of the things I like about John, because he definitely, as an athlete or someone who has injured himself, I actually think that's a bonus, obviously, because you can relate to the situation better. But be careful. These things are intended for you to just have a heads up, what to watch out for. Use your common sense. Definitely explore the different options you have, and visit the website, ask questions. Coach John and myself are available to answer your questions. Just make sure you know what you're doing, you're very clear. Otherwise, injuring yourself, the tissue can heal, but the impact of the injury on the rest of your body, posturally speaking and brain-wise, with regards to posture and movement, it may last a lot longer than you imagine. So, do you have anything else to say?
Have fun with it and explore what works for you. I mean, I can sit here and say that throw a bar on your back and that's going to get your legs stronger, but you throw a bar on your back and it just doesn't feel good. It just doesn't feel comfortable. You just can't connect. And you say, hey, I like kettlebells, I feel strong, and I get, everything I want out of it. Use dumbbells. I mean, take what I'm saying here with a grain of salt and find what works for you.
Absolutely. Anyway, thanks for watching. Visit my website, Irvine Spine and Wellness Center. This is a chiropractic office. We're heavily focused on rehabilitating individuals for better posture and better movement. So that's a specialty, and that's why, thankfully, we've teamed up with Coach John to bring awareness to you. Thank you for watching. Take care.